It's all yours.
All right. Well, welcome everyone to our All for You Accelerator Squared. We're calling it Accelerated Squared because we have taken All for You and powered it up. Bob has been pouring into, for the last several months, 8 of us. We call ourselves in-house coaches, and his beautiful gift is now multiplied through us. And so that is a little bit about what this All for You Accelerator Squared program is. And so we just like to welcome all of you here tonight. You're going to hear from Bob. You're going to hear from the coaches that are going to be facilitating. You're going to hear how the program's going to work. And you're going to hear, more importantly, about our experiences in our own experiences in our All for Yous that we've been a part of. So thank you for joining us. Our All for You program, All for You Accelerator Squared program, officially starts on November the 30th. So this is our intro call, and we're really glad that you're joining us tonight. And we look forward to, we're enthused to share with each of you about this brand new program and what you can expect to receive in being a part of this.
Cool. How many of you have done something on Zoom or live with me before? Raise your hand. Okay, so the All for You, and I'm just going to jump in. All for You is conscious language, imagination activation, and outcome mapping, all in one package, along with the foundation, which is an MP3 recording, I think something like 9 hours, whatever it is. And I'll show you that in a minute. And then an entire video series of All for You live that we did. And that package comes to you in a study format through the portal once you register to prepare you for the All for You. And so what'll happen is once you get your package, you begin to study, I will do, I'm going to say, an empowerment about it. Here's how it works. Here's what to look for, get the ball rolling. And generally, if I've had people take All for You like 10 times. And in 10 times, they're all completely different because we're different people, time, whatever. And I'm able to deep dive into whatever comes up, but not the whole thing. So in speaking with our team, our All for You facilitators and in-house coaches, we designed a way to have all of the pieces. And I've got outcome mapping, imagination activation. I'm going to show you these in a minute. The freedom process, margin noting, which is all about finding internal dialogue and reversing it. The domains of language, the scale of emotional harmonics, 125%, the role of it, and also making and keeping agreement. So what they're going to do in 6 sessions is go deeply into those as you're ready for it in smaller teams. So that's what's happening. And so in my outcome is the people who do this All for You, I really like squared because I feel squared when I do the squared. So I'm like accelerator tripled or whatever. I want to take it to a higher level. My outcome is you get someone who's in the game helping you understand how to do this stuff way more one-on-one than would happen in a live class with me. So our team tonight will share their experience of All for You and also what they're going to bring to the table. It'll be free flow. There's no order to it. What I will share with you is a little overview of what's in the class. So I'm going to do that now. All right. And you can all see this. Yes, everyone? Yes? Okay. Mm-hmm. So this is what's in the book, the mission statement, and then agreements of the game. And anything to be successful, we must make and keep agreements, is what I found. That's the way we can define how we're doing. So in the agreements of the game, like one of them is playing 125%, that's way bigger than what it seems. In other words, play more than you ever have in your entire life. If, and as somebody really understands this nature of playing 125%, more than they ever have in their entire life, each moment they remember to do it, I won't need to teach anything else. Because that agreement alone, you start right now. If all of you just imagine from this point forward, I make an agreement to play, not just work, play at 125% more than I ever have in my entire life, moment to moment to moment. And then we go through the seed trinity of consciousness, which is literally the trinity of thoughts, words, and feelings, which is what I call conscious language. And then there are 5. Once somebody starts moving up scale, stuff comes up. In fact, if stuff doesn't come up, we're not moving up scale. So in the past, when somebody comes up scale, they would go, oh, that's wrong. And oh, I got to be right. Or I need to hide what's coming up. And years ago, a good friend of mine who was my staff member at that point, Jeff Gustinelli, we did this 21-day version of their whole Kahuna package. And we got done and we had a dialogue about, the issue is that when we start moving up scale, the right wrong piece comes online. So All For You is designed to transform, move from, shift the all for you right wrong into I love everything that comes up. So if I'm being more right, in no way do I have increased love. I can't be more right and have greater understanding. So All For You is literally all about whatever comes up, yo fear, I love you just the way you are. And there's this 5 steps, 5 actions of engaging our current consciousness, which is I love, I touch, I breathe, I stay, I feel. I love, I touch, any order. I love, I touch, I breathe, I stay, I feel. And if something comes up, just touch and stay. I touch and I stay. What begins to happen is when we touch something, we literally, our spirit touching that, whatever that name is for you, God touching it. And instead of having, ooh, that's wrong, and I've got to be more right, all of a sudden love touches something, love wins. So this is, even though I'm introducing it right now, it's a very big concept. You can add this to your life right now. And then the codes of consciousness are all about like watching our breath code, watching all these different codes. Once you put them together, you realize, oh, we can actually decipher where we are and what's returning, where we are and what's returning, where we are and what's returning. And what I share with people is where you are is not who you are. Right now, you are a being of light. You're anointed, you're God created. And so whatever's up for you right now, that's not who you are, that's just where you are. So again, the idea of the codes of consciousness help us figure out, ooh, where am I? And then what does it turn into? Everything, what does this turn into? There's specificity factors, which is really a big deal. If all of you can imagine, have you ever seen a vague flower? No, maybe simple, maybe elegant, but not vague. The universe operates by exacting specificity. So we use an outcome mapping specificity, who, what, when, where, why, 16 senses, etc. And so the more specific, what we share with people is you're going to engage where you are, love it, bring it up to the altar of your awareness, and then begin to find out, oh, like fear touched with love turns into faith and courage and trust and assurance to have, do, or be something, take an action. So every emotion is waiting for love to turn into motion. So we'll show you that. And then margin noting. The thing about margin noting is, how many of you have ever had internal dialogue? And that's kept you from being present. Like how many of you ever had an instructor that looked like your mother or something, or father, and you're going, oh, they couldn't even get a word, like you just can't do it. I had a professor, his name was Alfred Ho, and he would say, it was economics. Now the demand curve, right, across the supply curve, right. And all I could do is right. I was hash marking every one of those, right. Anyway, so I dropped that class. And by the way, I'll just share with you that I went to the class to get the number of the class so I could drop it the last day. And it had his name up there, which was A. Ho. I thought I'd share that. All right. Anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. It's like, no, that'll work. All right. So then outcome mapping is just the richest thing ever, is outcome mapping, where we use a mind map really only in the form of outcome map and conscious language and specificity to design what we choose and what we're transforming or shifting into specifically. So it teaches us how to request and design and imagine from what we choose with exacting specificity. And I recommend it as often as you can. And then I'll jump ahead. The nature of language, and we'll talk about that. The domains of language are really a big deal. And what a simple upgrade is and a complete transformation is, that'll be brought up. And then, and this is in the material anyway, and our team is going to go and do a deep dive so you can actually experientially feel what this is in you. The language of self-sabotage, we talk about that. Scale of emotional harmonics, this is a really big deal. Really, really, really big deal. In other words, I talked about fear. The moment we touch fear, it turns into faith and we move up scale. So what I found is when we go down scale, it goes enthusiasm, pain, anger, fear, grief, apathy, unconsciousness. That's the scale that we found. There's 7 octaves down, doesn't matter where you are. The same process is moving up scale. So when we touch and love and breathe and stay and feel, and we choose to make it easy, we start moving up scale. So if there's hidden fear, it's going to come up. So if somebody all of a sudden goes, ooh, I'm feeling fear, the fear is being pushed up, as an example, by our courage and faith. Or anger will be being pushed up by authority and authorship. So anyway, understanding and having experience with the scale of emotional harmonics is a really big deal. The freedom process can be used individually. You don't have to have anyone around, and it's really helpful to understand how it works because it's really helpful. I'll just put it that way once you get it. And it's literally anything that's going sour, any conflict, anything not our best day yet ever, not any of those, is always a withheld communication. And the freedom process, the question is there anything keeping me from being fully and completely present, yes or no? And if it's yes, my withhold is I feel. What about this that we run it all the way out until it loses its juice, and then we go back in, and my choice is to transform whatever it is into what I choose. And then I empower myself, I empower whoever. These are life-giving, complete metamorphosis, and I'll let my team talk about their experience with that. The path of moving up scale, basic body language and body facilitation, that's always in everything. Everything we do will have body language in it, and our team is well trained in body language, and I bet we'll be able to read some of their body language when they're sharing. We'll talk about that in a minute. I bet they're all going, yes, thanks, Cynthia, that was perfect. And we vote victory. That's the biggest thing I can share with you, is the minute we start any of my classes, and I'm sure my team will do the same thing, we make sure that everyone is, to the best of their ability, voting victory, seeing perfection, creating security, because man, that's the deal. Feeling secure allows us to blossom. Creative words, all that, review, everything is about conscious language and what to do with it, really. And then imagination activation is really important. Like, I choose X. Well, most of us will go, what do I got to do to get X? The imagination activation is simply, well, now that I have X, what's new and different is. And we're going to take, how am I going to do it, off the table. Scripture says, I have ways you know not of, and they're beyond finding out. That's how. How many love the idea that you don't have to know how? Just where are you going, not how. That's so valuable. Let's see. And then imagining outcomes, we talked about that. Anyway, so we'll take that off the screen. So what I'm going to do is open this up to our team and share your first. My request is you can do whatever, your experience of this training called All For You. And just a reminder, in it is a whole video series on living the path of conscious language. In the packet you get a whole training on imagination activation, a whole training on outcome mapping. And then there's this thing called the foundation, which is a way you MP3, you can listen to it wherever you're driving, whatever, to give you a sense of how this works together, including smooth transformation. How many love the idea of being able to wake up and transform with ease and grace? So one of the first things to do is I choose to make this easy. And I give myself permission to restore something. So just know that's a big piece of it. And then again, the entire class, a version of it, is on video. The minute you register, you can get familiar. I call it opening files. I mean, how many like to know what you're going to do before you get there? I really do. I mean, I really, really do. Especially if something's going to happen for me, like a metamorphosis. I'm going to go through a change. So this is all prepared, and as prepared as you will be, you'll still find all kinds of new stuff. And that's that. So I'm going to open it up for my team. Who's first? Mike, yourself.
I'll go, Bob.
All right.
So my first experience with an All For You was, first I got the packet, And I began to go through all of the material in the packet and experienced transformation and miracles just in my shift of consciousness with listening to all that's available in that material. And then when I got to attend an All For You, what I hadn't realized in the past was how much of my life I was living outside of my body. I remember you asking in the class, where did you go? And the concept or the principle, the tool of the system of I touch and I stay versus touch and run. And when you would be coaching me through whatever was coming up for me, and you would say, did you touch and run or did you touch and stay? Just that right there, that small, small, but massively um, important miracle for me has helped me remember to stay and to stay. And you quote the scripture, occupy until I come. And so staying in my body, staying fully and completely present for me is one of my um, most important miracles that I received in the All For You, my first All For You class. And there's more, but I choose to let my other coaches share as well.
Cool. Thank you. That's still big for me, by the way, that I touch and I stay. It's like, yeah.
I can go. My experience with my first All For You was similar to Heather's. I had been numb and I had been living through others, letting others make my choices for me. And so my biggest aha was I have my own choice. I have my power to make a choice. And so just realizing, I matter. What I desire and what I choose matters really allowed me to upgrade and come into myself and I allowed myself to be me and to love me again. And I'm continuing to upgrade myself and make choices for me and make my own commitments and live my own life. And All For You was the first experience of that for me, and of allowing my choice and welcoming my choice and realizing that I have a choice in every situation. Period.
Who's next?
I'll go. My first adventure in meeting Bob, I went down, I'm in the Northeast, and I went to Alabama where I met Bob. And I really was very new to the process, had no clue what I was getting into, but I knew there was something to it after watching a little bit of the videos before going down. And what I realized the most was that I had no clue there was actually an illusion around me, and that I was in control of my reality. And Bob used the tools that taught me to just use my imagination and create the reality that I really desired. And being, as I got older through the years, I didn't understand that life was living me instead of me creating my reality. And so just a few little words helped me to create, oh, you mean I have a choice? Oh, you mean I don't have to be burdened with that? Oh, I can change this. And so the tools have really been transformative to me. And now anything that's been coming up that happens to come up in my world, I sit back and relax and I say, okay, what is this trying to tell me? And how can I transform this into my God's best version of what he's trying to bring to me that I, in my little vision haven't seen, because it's always something so much bigger than I could ever imagine on my own. So I'm learning to be grateful and thankful. So I will pass on the torch to the next.
Cool. Beth.
So my first All For You was down in North Carolina. And what I invite you guys to experience is, yes, we get the materials and the DVDs, and no buts. Got that. And when you walk upscale, like when Heather was learning to touch and stay, I learn to touch and stay. When Heather Connor is learning that she has choices, I'm learning I have choices. So I figure out my glitches and I recognize stuff I wasn't even aware of. So for me, my glitch was being seen. I choose to be seen and heard. I had no idea until we played the conscious language game that that's where I was holding back. It has my choice to be seen and heard has transformed into my family, into my kids, into my husband, over into work, and seeing people with perfection, seeing everyone with perfection and voting victory, knowing that love is where it's at. So I truly, I have changed my appearances through these classes. People will say, "You've changed," and I'm like, "Yes, I have. Thank you very much." So I invite you to enjoy the group experience. Those of you that have taken group classes, I think you'll attest the group sharing is very much a big piece of our upgrades. And All for You is definitely a great place to start.
Beautiful.
Period.
Thank you. Go ahead, Kristen.
I will go. My first experience of All for You was online, and I remember having some body signals actually that were up for myself. And as I went through the material, the signals stopped. And so what I realized is, adding unto you, Beth, is as others were going through their upgrades, I was upgrading myself. And it was so beautiful to see. Another upgrade body signal that happened while I was going through All for You was my nose just started running and just pouring out. And so I came to understand that my I cans were coming online. So I can, and began to use conscious language in that aspect. From All for You material, one of my favorites is the outcome, coming from your outcome. And that has just brought so many miracles in my life. I can just name so many things that have occurred and happened because of just that one tool and understanding it fully. So yes, I love having the option of having a live class added to the material so that you can ask questions and be live and feel each other's energy. So it's beautiful.
Cool.
Exclamation mark.
Who else? Stacy.
Yes. One of my biggest takeaways, and it's from the conglomeration of all the tools I've learned from All for You, was just really understanding, wow, I can live my full life fully in my God self. So that was a huge experience for me using all the tools, and also being able to feel my feelings and enjoy my feelings. That was a huge shift in my in just feeling. When you actually go through like the scale of harmonics, and you start to work with those different emotions and bring and transform them into our new outcome emotions, I felt literally that, wow, I love my life. And I heard myself say that after, and then also using imagination activation, oh, I love my life. And I'm listening to myself thinking, oh, did I not love it before? It's veil upon veil after veil coming off, and you come into who you really are in God. And that is so beautiful to me. And what Heather Harbaugh was also saying is that I didn't realize how much I was running. And I actually worked with inner healing for over 15 years before I even became here. So these tools, they really help you move up scale fast. And they're very dynamic, and I'm telling you, very multidimensional. You can listen to it once and then go back and listen to it again and get something totally different. And as I continue to move up scale in my own consciousness and who I am in my feeling world, living my full life, what happens is that, yeah, so as I'm moving up scale, I also, I sense that, well, I just got blank, but it's the multidimensional. It's just the next layer, and then there's a next layer, and there's a next layer, and it's always brand new. And so it's just kind of like God's mercies are new every day. And it's the same thing with as we're moving up scale in consciousness. So, period.
Now, can you say all that in Swedish, please?
No.
No, just kidding, just kidding. She's in Sweden. She lives there now. So I always love to ask that question. Awesome. Thank you, dear. Who's next? Cynthia.
My experience is very different than my fellow coaches. My first All For You came after a live SBLT with Bob in person.
Explain what SBLT is so they know.
Oh, a Sacred Body Language translation class. It was a one-day event. My husband and I attended in July of 2018. And what I did not realize at the time was so stuck in the right, wrong piece. Right, wrong. It was how I lived my life, or how I didn't live my life, actually, sadly, because now I truly live. My husband was in, and after 3 minutes with Bob, had massive upgrades while I sat on my hands in my little right wrong piece of going, don't move because sacred body language is wrong. If you move, it's wrong. Don't move, it's wrong. And I have so since learned so much more than that. Anyway, after this sacred body language day, I enrolled in All For You. My husband got massive upgrades, and I was standing back going, what about me? But what about me? And so I found this course, All For You. Well, of course, it's all for me because I'm going to learn how to do it right. And I got my materials a week before this class. I went to North Carolina. I didn't open anything. Nobody told me I was supposed to open anything. And so I did it wrong and went without opening anything, walked in and sat in the chairs like, oh, great one, teach me all the things. So I can go home and do it right and teach all the other people how to do it right. Oh, wow. Bob totally rocked my world. I didn't have a clue what we were talking about. I hadn't studied anything. I hadn't read anything. I had all these wonderful things at my fingertips and had not done a thing. And I experienced massive upgrades by learning it's okay and remembering who I am and it's okay. And I am grace and love, not right and wrong. I had such huge upgrades and I still get upgrades for that. I went back after my live session after several days and dove into my information and realized how much more I could have upgraded had I gone in knowing a little bit of the language. Like SBLT is sacred body language, BOH is biooptic holography. I can, I am, I will, I choose, I have, I love, I create, I enjoy. Knowing what that order is and what does that mean and what does that mean for me? Um, I love, I touch, I breathe, I stay, I feel. Just so many things. And so I went to my next All For You live in person, and it was new, all for me. And my next two online, again, new, all for me. I came away understanding conscious language is not a way of saying it right. Sacred body language is not a way of doing it right. And God had answered before I even asked because my husband is the one that led me to grace and love. And I can speak from my heart now with full love, and I see love and grace in people. I am love and grace. I connect on a whole new level. And that whole right wrong piece, it's for the birds. And so I encourage you, yes, study your stuff, so we kind of are on the same page and enjoy our time together, because on the other side, with upgrades and our great white tube of light, I love being in my great white tube of light. I am in a great place, and you will be too. Period. Exclamation point.
Yeah, I love
exclamation
that explanation. That was awesome.
point. Yes.
Who else has yet to go of our team? Is that everybody? That was the look up. No, Bob. So I'm going to do one thing. Yeah, Adam, and I got a question besides whatever else Adam is going to. Adam's been to a few and also taught a few himself of All For You. And he just moved, wave. Oh, there you are. You just went, anyway. Because we use body language a lot, can you share the thumb thing first before you go into the body language?
Yeah, yes. So, I mean, and this leads into me even doing my first All For You anyways. When I first originally met Bob, that's all I had taken was 1 3-hour intro to sacred body language translations. And I just always knew I'd work with Bob. Call it what you will, intuition, just he was super awesome at what he did. Some of the transformations that I seen in the last hour of that 3-hour class, I was like, oh my God, how's that even possible? How can he know the things that he knows just by an itch or a scratch? Or, I mean, it was amazing. Anyway, so between that time of me taking that 3-hour class, it was maybe about a year or so. I moved back from North Carolina because that's where I had met him, downtown Asheville. Moved back to Salt Lake City, and I'm a personal trainer. I mean, I've been an athlete since I was a wee lad. And when I got back into a gym, it just, like, I lost my passion and love for what I was doing, because people weren't really coming in just to work out or to lose weight or to be sexy or whatever. They were asking for something else, and I didn't really know what that was. I mean, I knew it was there, but I didn't know what it was. So anyway, I just got down on my knees for the first time in probably a decade or so, and actually really said an out loud prayer, really listened. I went back out to my computer to look for some wilderness therapy jobs that I had participated in before, because I really enjoyed that. I enjoy working with our youth. And the moment I turned on my computer and I uploaded all the apps and stuff, I get a notification from Mastery Systems hiring for tour manager. So I was back and forth with Bob and Jeff, who worked with Mastery at the time, and we agreed that it was a fit. And so I flew out to North Carolina, and we packed up everything that we required to go on. I believe at that time it was a 6-week tour leading up to our All For You little tour. And not even 30 minutes into our drive, I had pulled out a conscious language book and then a body language book, because I'd never even really checked out the body language book, even though I did that 3-hour intro. And as we're driving along the road, we maybe barely passed into the border of South Carolina, and I'm literally thumbing through the book, and I come to one of the pages that has the descriptions of possibilities for our fingernails. You know, if they have dots, if they have horizontal ridges, or if they have vertical ridges, they can mean this. And so I look over to Bob, and I'm like, hey, what does this mean? And he kind of looks over at me like, are you really ready for this? And long story short, I had these huge horizontal ridges in my right thumb. I had some resemblance of ones coming through on my left thumb, but they were really protrude on my right thumb, 3 of them. And Bob began facilitating me and walking through some great anger, hate, resentment that I had carried for a long time. I mean, as far as I can remember, from my father. And I had seen many counselors, therapists, energy workers, you know, would feel a little bit better after I'd leave their office. Okay, I can do this. And it would be like maybe a week or so. Maybe the month was the best that I would do, like being cool and being okay with my father. And then I'd be right back to holding on to all that stuff. And then in a matter of another 30 minutes, me and Bob, and by the way, I hadn't spoken to my father in like 15 years, like literally, I really wanted just to do harm to that man. And what it had taught me by this facilitation is, one, I didn't get to even forgive myself. And I have half of my father's genetics in me. So everything I was hating, resenting, all the emotions against love that I was experiencing or feeling or projecting towards my father, I was doing it to myself. And therefore it was manifesting in my physical body. So as Bob walked me through some of the steps that you all will learn through this All For You, I was really able to put myself in my father's shoes. I mean, literally, figuratively, whatever the words may be. And I was able to forgive him because, I mean, he did the best he could. And it was after we got done with that little stint, my father had called me. We had started chatting. We actually met up for the first time and gave each other a hug. And he told me physically or with words that he loved me, which I don't even remember the last time he had told me that, if ever before that, at least in my memory. Since then, he's like the best grandpa ever for all our littles. And, you know, me and my brothers joke sometimes like, where was this at, man? Anyway, but it's super cool to see how he's progressed and he's changed and upgraded because of stuff that I've done. And it's just fascinating and super awesome to see the changes that he's made. And like I said, he's an awesome grandpa, does everything he can, even babysits 3 of our littles, you know, some of my brother's kids. And it's just, I mean, it's miraculous. I mean, honestly, before I had met Bob, if I had never met Bob and you would ask me if I'd ever forgiven him, no way in heck would I have ever forgiven this man for some of the things that like I said, that I made up, that I believed fully with my heart. And it just wasn't any good for me, period. I mean, it just, you know, it was poison that I was carrying around. So right then, I got a quick education in what this was all about. And then my first experience for First All For You, back when it was 5 days, back in the early 1800s when we first put this together, it used to be 5 days, and then Bob's been able to condense it and really just take the golden nuggets out, because he's also refined, you know, what comes through him and how he chooses to deliver it. It's just become more succinct. So now we have a 2.5 day-ish version of All For You. And anyway, so I'm on the soundboard. Mind you, I have 0 experience doing any type of soundboards or music or videographer or any of that stuff. And I believe about the 2nd day in, Bob does this activity sometimes where he goes around the circle and has, you know, either a body language signal or what's your goal in life, or something that will spark something that he can then ask his questions to find out what's next. And I mean, I realized I was so numb. I hadn't felt anything in, I don't know, man, maybe since I was a little kid. So 20, 25 years of not feeling, being unconscious of just where I was at. I was super defensive. And when he got to me to ask me certain questions, man, I mean, it was it was terrifying. And so for the first time in, like I said, maybe since I was a child, I actually had tears of joy, things that I started remembering. I had some deep feeling for the first time in X amount of years. And something else that as he begins to facilitate through what I was experiencing is imagination, you know, imagination activation, he calls it. And our imagination is senior. But what I realized at that time is I didn't have a freaking clue what imagination was, because I was always living in the past. And I could barely even keep my head above water living in the present moment. But I was only back and forth with what was present and my past. So, I mean, it took me a little bit of time to even be like, wow, I can really imagine what I choose. Like I can have exactly what I require. I mean, it was such a unique concept for me that I was actually started to, you know, get my genius on board. I was actually able to start imagining. And like I said, that's layer upon layer as well. And that was one of the biggest keys that in my first All For You that he brought back to me is, wow, I can really imagine these things. And it's just like being in the mind of God. So that I'll leave it at that for now. But that was one of the biggest things that I got, is how to feel again, and how to love what I felt, and then how to be able to imagine exactly what I choose. I mean, how fantastic. Period.
Awesome. Cool. How many love that? Yeah, riding in the car, little fingernail action, and you go in and heal your dad and you, and then you have harmony with him, right like that. Boom, as soon as he gets home. Cool.
Yes.
It's big stuff, kids. All right, let's share what the areas that I'm going to ask those that are, you know, the deep dive. So when we present, it'll be one session that I'll come on and with all the other material that's hooked up. And then our team is going to take you through. And will you describe what you're going to do, team? What the rest of the sessions are about?
I'll start and then y'all jump in, team. So you have the opportunity to sign up for your date and time with a coaching pair. So we'll be working in pairs for this round of this All For You Accelerator 2, and we'll be going through a deep dive of what we call what Bob calls his top 7, which is like the imagination activation, outcome facilitation, the freedom process, codes of conscious language, and rules of the game, agreements of the game, playing 125%. And I know there's one more that somebody can jump in and say what it is.
Did you
Domains?
say freedom? Did you say
I did
freedom
say-
process? And
I did say
scale of
freedom
emotional
process.
harmonics?
Oh, scale of emotional harmonics. That's it.
Oh,
Okay.
Yes, that's it. So what's different in this scenario that you're being offered to, or invited to participate in, is we'll be in smaller groups of 10-ish people, and you'll have 2 All For You facilitators working with you. We'll be going over the material and then coaching you through it, which the coaching facilitation part for me is one of my favorite things to do for people, and to also participate in watching other people's coaching and then being coached myself. That's where, as we've shared, just watching, if you've ever been a part of watching Bob coach someone, you know that as they're being coached, all of us are being coached at the same time. And so I'm really excited about this aspect of our training that's coming up that we're inviting you to be a part of. Cynthia, go.
Okay.
Tag.
Tag. Okay, I'm it. Yay. Our sessions are designed for us, because every All For You is all for me. And anything that comes up in our session will be for me as well. And every time I do an All For You, I do it new, looking at the information new, taking it in anew, and upgrading myself to new things as well. After my first All For You, like I said, I'd never even opened the book. And when I got home, I looked in the book and wondered, well, what is this page for? And what is this page for? And what does this mean? And how do you do this? And how do you do that? And although I had experienced all of it in my All For You, I didn't have a name for each one of the things. And so as Beth and I are coaching together. Beth, where are you? There you are. Beth and I are coaching together. We're the team on one of the evenings as well. And so we will help connect the dots at a deeper level. Yes, it will be very experiential. We will all upgrade together and have a safe place to connect the dots. Oh, what we just did was, oh, that was imagination activation. Oh, that was the freedom process. So when we are alone, when we finish this course, and I'll stop after this to leave someone else something to say. When we finish this course, each one of us will have tools, personal tools, where we can facilitate ourselves through whatever it is that's going on. I use the freedom process just today. I had some stuff come up and I chose a coach and we went to town with it. I know what I'm doing, and it's always great to have a coach to walk upscale with. Okay, who's tag? You're it. I'll let someone else go. Okay, Beth, you're it.
I hope you are all enjoying this, because I'm actually getting very excited and enthusiastic to play some more. One of the courses we'll dive deep into, and one of the tools is outcome mapping. And we're going to start with that, because once you start outcome mapping, stuff comes up, like Adam says, you learn to create and imagine from already having. And it's easy cancel to get into the right wrong. Is this what I should, and how can I do this? And so being facilitated and coached into your specifics, into your really imagined and what's important about that, and now what's new and different. And so what we offer as a live experience is to actually go through and imagine deeper, bigger, more specific. And who are we going to touch with our imaginations and our realities now being received? How to have gratitude and make it fun and easy with whatever comes up, because and that's the beauty of this 7-week session, is that as things unravel, as you peel away the layers, then you get to explore and reimagine and bring it on. Tag, Stacy, you're it.
Hey, I feel like a child again. I love tag. Yeah. So one of the building blocks of everything we do is conscious language. And conscious language, we're going to really experience and take a deep dive, even in our coaching, as we begin to speak, we can see the different patterns that come up and begin to unravel and really see what are our deepest thoughts and beliefs about the things that we're expressing, because within a minute we can find out where we're at. And that doesn't mean to say that's where we're going to stay, but we transform ourselves into the new, and we get to choose what that new is. And then of course, if it's a feeling, we get to upgrade those feelings as well. And so what's great about conscious, we get to become more secure in our conscious language. We're going to go through the different domains of conscious language and understand them more, and we'll have a lot of, and I think one of the most important things is that we learn how to speak from our heart. And when we speak to our heart, we speak to the heart versus speaking to our thoughts. So those are very important foundations, and we will see them repeated in everything we do. Period. Kristen?
Yes, thank you, Stacy. Amen to everything you've all said. And one thing I desire to share is I love meeting together as small groups, because in my mind, we are tacking, and Bob shares this in his book, I believe, where you have your outcome and each of us is suggested to have an outcome for what you desire this experience to be for you. And as you think of your outcome, as we meet each week, you are tacking and recommitting to your outcome, and it makes it easy. I feel it's an easy process when you have so much support and love and safety, security created in your groups to continue moving forward at a quick pace and just recommit each week. And so that's what I choose to add for myself. And I believe, is it Heather?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Kristen. So Stacy and I are coaching together. And what I love about the coaching sessions is it's so personal. You have such personal time. It's very, very personal. You have time to give feedback. And what they're talking about with these top 7 is they're the actual tools that we're always referring to. So you're going to learn what the details of each tool and what it is and how to use it. And then we use the tools in our coaching sessions to go into a much more deeper dive, and you get to learn how to use them in your life. So anything that comes up feeling wise in your life, you know how to use them, you know how to play the game, and so that you're living for yourself and you're able to upgrade on your own. And it's just so amazing, because as we've mentioned, as some of the coaches have mentioned before, it's not just one person that's upgrading. It's every aspect of yourself that's upgrading. Each person is a different you, and it's an aspect of yourself. So it's really interesting, and it's just so alive, and we just grow with leaps and bounds in expansion, and she doesn't know how to describe it. It's just joy and enthusiasm. And so I welcome you to join us in our All For You. And I think we have, who hasn't gone? Christy, yes. I will give the floor to you.
Yeah, from my perspective, the best part about having a team to work with, like when I went to my All For You, it was 2.5 days, and you got to use a little bit of the tools in the class. But then after those 2.5 days were done, all I had were my books. And when I went home, I'm like, well, okay, I learned a little bit of the tools, but how do I actually apply it to my life? So this is where we're going to be working with you for the next 6 weeks after the initial class. And if you have any questions during that first week, and maybe you try a couple of the tools, you can say, hey, this, would you explain this a little bit more? And or what you'll come to, what I believe, is you're going to come to class and something's going to be up and we're going to use a particular tool and you're going to see how it works and you're going to be like, oh, and we'll be like, oh, thank you for demonstrating how this works, and we're going to go over it that day. And then you have the ability to move into, oh, well, let me think, how did we use that? You'll also have the videos you can go back and watch. Well, how did they facilitate me when I did this? So now you can take that with you, and next week you'll come back and it may be someone else's turn. One of the things we always say is, I'm so glad someone else was in the hot seat because I upgraded while they got coached. And so we take all of these different tools and we move them into everyone's greatest upgrades. And I love how we're all called to the particular group we're going to be in. I'm actually coaching with Beth. So Beth is doing 2 different groups, but we're going to be doing an evening group together. And so whoever's drawn to whichever coach, you know that you're called to that particular group for a reason, and trust the process because it just works. And so I'll send it back to you, Bob.
Oh, that's awesome. Yay, go.
Hey, Bob, may I add one more thing, please? Give me that codependent pouty face.
Yeah,
Come on, you can do it.
I did it. A little
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. One thing in my past, when I first started with Bob, we did a lot of calls where there were audio calls. That wasn't Zoom. It wasn't anything like that. And I was the master hider. And I could listen to those calls and hide. Nobody saw me, nobody heard me. And I could just do me in the background and just pretend that I was okay and I was doing it right. The beauty of Zoom and these small, intimate groups is we all get to play. Everybody gets to be on screen every time and play together and upgrade together. And if I had understood early on, I hid because I was fearful. I had all kinds of fear. If someone had said to me that I could touch my fear with love and my faith and confidence would come massively upgrading me, I would have been all in for that. And that's where we're going to go with this. So knowing what you're going to gain from this in this small, intimate group is the blessing that awaits us all.
Will you share about voting victory?
Yes. When we first get on our calls, one of the most important things that we do, 2 things actually, is we vote victory and we see perfection. So back to my right wrong piece. So when I first started with my right wrong, voting victory was like, oh, I hope you can get it done as well as I could have because I'm going to be doing it right. No, that is not voting victory at all. Voting victory is seeing God, my God in me, seeing your God in you, and my perfection sees your perfection, and I am in it for our upgrade. There's only one of us here. And so I personally, I am, which is God's name for my name for God. I, God in action, am. I am my own permanent victory in the light. And then we are, I am our permanent victory in the light. And we are all one together on the call, seeing each other's perfection, not seeing what's wrong, seeing what it turns into and where we are headed and who we really are connected in God.
Cool. Anyone else on voting victory and how that helps? Adam.
So what Cynthia just said, and on top of that, remember the law of the tithe. So as Bob states that he learned from whoever he learned from, or it came through and whatever. First of all, whatever we send out to the universe, to God, to other people, we keep 60% of that first and foremost. And then, so if we're driving around or we're being kind of grumpy or resentful that someone that's now speaking has a tendency to do sometimes, if I'm sending out and cursing others and just, being rude or having bad thoughts, or basically the law of the tithe, that's going to come back and kick me in the butt. And if I'm sending out good juju or blessing everybody, or like Cynthia just described, voting each other's victory, instantaneously, that's a big word, instantaneously, we receive a tenfold of the blessing that we just sent out. So once I heard that, and the way that Bob described the law of the tithe, because the way I grew up, and before that I was like, oh, give to some church or some organization 10% of the dollar amount that I make, when it's so much more than that. Yes, donate to charities or what you feel called to. And the law of the tithe is so precious and so exacting. I mean, you can call it a number of things, but what you put out there, you become, you get, you receive. So the more that we can bless one another and vote each other's victory, the more that we're going to have our own victory. Period.
Cool. Who else? Go ahead, Beth.
It was a year and a half to 2 years in before I fully appreciated our grace and beauty of seeing perfection and voting victory. We were sharing for one of our team member, and I didn't know why. It was vote victory, see perfection. And it's like, not knowing why was my biggest gift, because I saw her as a beautiful child of God with divine health, in her glory, and everything else fell aside. The only thing of importance was seeing her perfection, seeing her divine glory. And that was like, oh, now I get it. Like, I really heartfelt and really believed how to vote victory and see perfection. So that's my story. Period.
Who else? I'll share it this way. How many come in nervous when the whole team, when I say vote victory, or to do it, but I usually request it when something's up, vote victory. I do it a lot on our Zoom calls, vote victory. It makes such a difference. It's tangible when you have 30 people voting your victory. And so vote victory, and all of a sudden, I mean, how many of you on these classes, calls, whatever, when I say that, how many can tangibly feel a shift? Whether you're voting it for someone else or yourself, we all receive the blessing. Like Adam said, it has to come through us. That 60% we keep, but that's a tenfold return. It's always instantaneous. So what I love is, instead of like, oh yeah, we're going to go to class, we got to show up and get coached. None of that's it. That's not it at all. What this is about is we're remembering who we are, who we am, and everything that comes up, it's on its way into some blessing or strength or amazing thing. And this is not religious. You don't even have to have any of the same words of God that anybody else has, but it's all about, it's spiritual, and it's love, got it? And you'll have to find your words for how that works. Nobody has to use the same words, and definitely it'd be important to vote victory and see perfection, whatever that is. And that's the beauty of all of us coming from different backgrounds. Is, you know, once one person gets touched by love or touches or votes victory, whether they give it or receive it, because it's always the same, giving is receiving, a miracle happens. But it's not just improving, it's always greater than we can contain, pressed down and overflowing. So this is literally about quantum leaps. It's my best way to describe it. Anyone else? All right, so the class coming up. Yes, Diane.
I started telling you this yesterday, Bob, but I interrupted what you were saying, and I apologize for that. But you have such a way of bringing the word to life that it's awesome. I just love the way you teach, and I love your heart coming out. It's just a fresh new way of incorporating your God self and teaching how to do that. Practical, very practical. And I love it. I just want to tell you that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Andrea.
Would this lead into the flesh becomes word, or the word
becomes flesh? Yes, I love it. The flesh becomes word. The minute you have flesh, it turns into a word. No, just kidding. The word becomes flesh. Yes. So here's what I'll build a little bit more. So right now I'm calling on my God to bring forth our community coaches. How many understand that right now? I believe the word disease is a man-made word. It means unease. And most of you have heard me say that before, but literally, I'm going to the doctor for unease today. So this is not to change the modality. It's to go, ooh, my thoughts, my words, and my feelings, the trinity of language shapes where I am. As we think in our heart, so are we. Think in our heart, that's word and feeling. So before I do anything, the training All For You is the start point, everything in it for, and then those that choose to go on and be trained in sacred body language translation, bio-optic holography, and life upgrade coaching, the Kahuna package, this is the start. And what I love about the way we're going to do it is I would have to give like a whole bunch of these. Adam could even tell you how many. All my team that are going to be sharing this are here because they realize we can go much deeper. Let's unfold this, let's unwrap this. So all of you that go, oh, I'd like to be a coach or whatever, we can, right now, all you have to do is email us and we'll get someone with you, most likely it's going to be Adam, about designing a package for you. And what's coming up is Kahuna starts, and it's a brand new version. It's all online. You can also get videos, which are way deep dive, but I'm going to do a level 1 sacred body language translation with what's going on. I'll do a level 1 all live Zoom bio-optic holography, so you don't have to study something, even though I recommend you do. And you can do it all online Zoom deep dive life upgrade coaching level 1. And if you choose, you can also have a package include doing the meta body electronics, which tomorrow night 6 o'clock we have for those that are currently enrolled, we have a team. We have Kahuna's coming online. Those that are doing the series that we're doing right now, you're invited. You'll know if you got an invite. And then right after that, we'll do another Meta BE, because we're at 25, 26 right now, and 36, possibly 48. We do in segments of 12-ish if we can. That'll be coming up February 25th is 2-day All For You, and then 8 days of Meta Body Electronics at our center here in North Carolina. So if you choose, if you go, oh, I'd really like to go in, all of that can be packaged together, and Adam has the skill set to guide you on how to put it together and then come up with a package with their savings. So thank you. Anybody else? Comments, questions, statements? Diane.
Bob. Oh.
I have a question. I know I have some of your videos on everything that Beth posted in the chat. So this is totally different than what I have, what you're having, what you've got here, correct?
I'm not, I haven't watched the chat. The classes coming up are called Kahuna, and this is not intro level. This is experiential level of sacred body language.
Diane, everything that's in the chat, that's currently what y'all are gonna do through the All For You version. The body language piece and the bio-optic holography piece, the reading of our eyes, that's a totally different thing than what's listed in the chat.
Thank
So
you.
if you have everything that's in the chat, that's based on the All For You package that's included with all that stuff. So you'll get a little bit of stuff with the body language, and that's a completely separate course.
And this stuff is new from maybe 10 years ago.
Yes.
Am I okay? Good, because I know I have a lot of your videos, Bob. So that's why I was asking.
I got you. Good, good.
Diane, the difference is the videos, when you watch the videos, that's what you do. You watch the videos. In these classes, what we're doing is an experiential type class. You get to be part of the video. You get to be part of the class. We get to do this together, and it's an experience rather than just watching something on your screen and walking away and saying, oh, that was nice. Good for them. Yeah, this is all
And
for
then
you.
you can watch yourself on video going,
Yes.
yeah, it's wild.
I would
And did that
also
help?
add, I was just gonna say, I would also add, there might be people that have purchased an All For You from Mastery Systems that may be on this video or listening to this video that couldn't make it. And that will be
Credited
discussed
for
in the
them.
pricing.
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah. So if you already have All For You, you still be able to attend. It'll be a different fee. Cool.
Right.
And those that have already done a full All For You, you can do a repeat price. Same with the Kahuna. Those that have already done Kahuna, what I'm going to do is, I realize a number of people who jumped into the Kahuna, which is a really big series of trainings. Some people didn't watch all that stuff. Some watched everything and some didn't watch it. So I'm going, well, my outcome is to pack really tightly and then unpack sacred body language translation. So in a very short period of time, people are really, really, really good at it because I require everybody being good at it. Same with bio-optic holography, because I mean, we got a perfect screen to work with. I've done so many Zoom classes right now that I'm really confident they work. I mean, we're getting tremendous results with it. And the same with life upgrade coaching, where in the past you'd have to wait a year maybe before they come on and travel and do all that stuff. For right now, level 1 is going to be tightly shared, deep experiences with lots of repetition for that's coming up. So if you have interest in being a coach or a facilitator, helping others professionally, whatever, or just for yourself, make sure you connect with our office, support@masterysystems.com, support@masterysystems.com, and ask for our guidance counselor, which is Adam, and he can help you find your perfect package. And that's all. It's just now coming out to be able to figure out how to do that. So it could be All For You and Meta Body Electronics coming up. It could be All For You, Kahuna, and Meta Body Electronics, or just the Kahuna. So tomorrow night is Meta BE, and we're going to share all about that. So
can I ask a question about that?
Wave at me. Is that you, Andrea?
I have a question too, but that wasn't me.
All right. So somebody wave. So
It's me, Carla.
Carla, go ahead. Yep.
Okay, when you said about the Meta B tomorrow night, did you send that invitation in an email?
Ooh, it's on. That invitation only went to our current study groups, which is a couple thousand people. So if you choose to come, since you're on it, email everyone. If you choose to be there, I'll let you come in because you're here now. Support or email C, like Chief Technology Officer, CTO, @masterysystems.com, and request to receive the link for that. We'll get that to you tomorrow.
And the link name is?
What's that?
Somebody type it in the chat.
Name is
Meta Body Electronics. META and then BE will work.
And the
That's
email is
part
in
of
the
all
chat.
these acronyms: MICKEY, MOUSE.
So I guess my main question is, do you suggest that, like, as I'm a very beginner, but I'm very familiar with the work, to do the All For You and then go on to deeper things?
You have to. There's no other way to play.
Okay, that's the required. That's what I
All
want
For You
to.
is required. In fact, the more All For Yous you can get, the faster you're going to be able to do the rest of it.
Okay.
Yeah. So the prereq, when we put a package together, any package, it's always starts with All For You. Always.
Oh, okay. So I can do the all for you, but I can call Adam and maybe add on to that and
Yes, ma'am.
discount.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, we'll be talking to you tomorrow, Adam.
Cool.
Bob, I have some things to clarify that
Yes,
some
please.
questions have been asked. So with this All For You Accelerator Squared program, cancel program course that we're offering for you, we have 4 pairs of coaches, 4 different times, days and times that you can choose. The coaching teams are Cynthia and Beth, Christy and Beth. So you can, if you're really, looking for Beth, you can find her 2 different times.
Bilocating.
She is. Heather Connor and Stacy, and then myself, Heather Harbaugh and Kristen Wall. And those times and dates are on the website. I will put that link in the chat where you can also find out. This is since this is our beta launch, first time we've done it this way, we are offering a special price. After we do it this time, the price will be higher. So if you're really, your heart's saying, and I recommend y'all, I have I have experience at not listening to my heart the first time. So I highly recommend you. If your heart is saying yes, I promise you're already fully and completely supplied.
And you also, on one thing you also have, I saw it today when Maggie sent me the, to approve whatever the promotion was, there was recordings of all of you sharing the secrets of your heart.
So I'm putting right now the link to all the information about, I can share it verbally, but Anne, I think it's important that you click on the link, you can go to the website, you can see the coaching duos and dates and times. Bob's, our kickoff, our first class that Bob will be doing is going to be on November 30th. That's the one we're all together doing that November 30th at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And we invite you to come and play with us, and if you know someone that could really benefit from, and I think everybody can, but if someone's coming to mind, you can share this link with them, invite them to come play. And if all of our coaching duo times that we'll do, we will be recording those sessions. So you'll also, in addition to all the material that you're getting for your home study, you'll also be getting all the recordings from what we do together and for watching the replays and all that. And yes, all of the classes will start the same week. So November 30th, we have a Tuesday daytime, Tuesday evening time, a Thursday evening time, and a Saturday daytime.
The repeat. Yep. Go ahead, Diane.
I'm sure I'm mixing this up, but is All For You going to be overlapping the MetaB?
No, so I'll share that. So the All For You that is currently being offered is way deeper dive. Then there is also an All For You 2 days out of the 10 days total, 25th through, I think it's the 6th, whatever it is, February to March, 25th Feb to March, I think 6th. And it's on our website. And the trick about it is jump in and do the deep dive All For You. Then when anybody comes to do the Meta BE, they have to do as well this All For You, because I'm enrolling and encouraging on a very, am I subtle, kids?
No.
You should even know. No, I mean, and
Even
yet,
Diane knows that.
yeah. And yet it's all about, because tomorrow you'll find out what Meta Body Electronics is. It's deep, and I'll just do it this way. Adam, how profound is Meta BE?
It's really beyond any words that we have with our human language to describe. I mean, it really is. Miraculous is one way. I mean, just coming back home, fully embodying who we are. And honestly, I mean, it's really a challenge to come up with words to describe it, but miraculous is, one of the biggest words that I would use. And from my experience with Bob Sharon, and he's stated this earlier in our conversation in this call today, is every single All For You that you will do is completely different. And so with coming to the BE or the All For You before BE, he's going to premise it, and specifically what comes through him is uniquely different and succinct with what's going to be required and things that we may go through, or potentials of what body electronics really is. So it's going to be way different than even if you have taken an All For You course but haven't done BE yet. It'll be just way different. And some of the stuff that comes through Bob it's super cool. The way that he's able to tap in and be aligned, and the way he delivers, it's way different. So I encourage you to jump in. I mean, it's a miracle. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Thank you.
And how hot do your fingers get, Adam?
Super hot. Super hot. Potential blisters. Cancel clear.
Yeah, really. In the past, we're all going to love so much anyway. And we'll talk about that tomorrow. So, and again, kids, this is about rebooting. Adam, let's talk about your eyes before
Yes.
and after from that. Go ahead.
So I believe this was actually my second body electronics that I had did. And so I had upgrade, tons. We take before and after pictures at BE just so we can see potential changes, and it's usually across the board. The only time that I haven't seen eyes change is maybe if someone's holding back, or sometimes for whatever reason, we don't always know what people go through. They may have hide or like not participate as fully, but the amount that my eyes changed after my second body electronics, when I sent Bob my first photos and then ones up to that point, so that was probably maybe my fourth or fifth time getting my eye photos taken. Bob, without having my name there, he didn't even recognize my eyes. I mean, I had, in the beginning of my journey with Mastery, I had super wavy fibers, which means that I was pretty hot. Like, I got to constantly get things done. I was a people pleaser. And like I mentioned earlier, I just wasn't at home. So I was doing things for others to like me, to approve of me, so that I was a good boy. And by the end of that body electronics experience, my fibers were completely straight. I was hooked up. I had a few lacunas that actually filled in with fibers. And I mean, it's just amazing how just how hooked up I was because of the things that I had went through. And one of the things that I went through, and many of you may have to do this, it's been said that all of us at some point will have to do this. We'll have to forgive the unforgivable. And some of us had to do it many times over. This was one of those times. And in my experience, I was resisting. Basically, Bob called me out. We had a little short interaction with one another. And it was the first time a male figure in my life, someone that loved and cared about me, actually stayed for me. He stayed right there. Whatever my story was, all the BS that I was trying to stir up, he just stayed. He just loved on me. And the whole room blurred out. I mean, all I could see was Bob's eyes. And I mean, whatever he saw, but all I could see was both of our eyes connecting. He was able to stay with me and walk me through this unforgivable thing. And then I was able to get back on the table and do my ender concession, and the rest is history.
Yeah, man. And his fibers, when I say about MetaBE, and we'll talk tomorrow, is we reboot to perfection. And when I saw your eyes, it was like that was the proof in the pudding that that's a real deal. Mark did the same, his version of the same thing.
Yeah.
And if you can imagine the genetic structure would show up in the eyes, they're already, all our eyes are changing. That's all there is to it. But when someone's eyes go from the standard signature to straight fibers, I mean, just like that, that's how much life force we can let shine through us. And this is available. I mean, it's wild what is available on this. So your heart knows, keep listening and prove all things and hold fast to that which is good. And this is, in Metabody Electronics, there's very little coaching. It's mostly everybody plugged in is going to go through whatever they need to. The crystals in the body have thought, word, and emotional memories in them. We find them, hold them, get hot, love it, and then relive the memory. And we literally get back into the divine flow of the vine, so to speak. And it's amazing, amazing, profound experience. Something I've been doing for 50 years, and I still do it because it's so profound. So, all right. Heather Harbaugh.
Yes.
Let's close it up. And what do they do if they're interested? Go to that link.
So if you're
Yep.
interested, go to the link. I put it in the chat box. If you're interested in attending tomorrow's call, I'm sure many of your interest is really sparked to hear about MetaBE. I know mine was the first time I heard about it. You're going to email cto@masterysystems.com. That is in the chat box. That call is at 6 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. And then if you have other questions, you can email support@masterysystems.com, and your question will get directed to the appropriate.
and since Adam has adam@masterysystems.com, we do not have the packages fully built out for him yet. We're about a day away. You can always send them. Please let me know when you get it to adam@masterysystems.com, and just Adam know we're working to get that together. We just had such a full day today that it didn't quite happen. So Adam he's done this many times before, so it'll be easy. All right, to all of you, thanks for coming tonight. My team, thanks for doing a great job of sharing. Adam, yes. And vote victory and imagine peace on our planet. Yes.
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 And conscious voting. How many like it? And counting. Yes. All right. Thank you
Yes.
all.